Welcome to the Customer Machine Podcast, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston and Yoav Ezer. Glenn is a psychologist and marketer whose companies have sold more than $30 million in consulting and has trained thousands of marketers across different niches and industries. Yoav is a programmer turned marketer whose companies have sold over $5 million in products and services. Together, they'll teach you how to systematically stand out, attract, and convert the best customers, even in brutally competitive markets. And now, here's Glenn and Yoav.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Mr. Yoav, how are you?
Good, good. So I have something interesting for you today.
Is it unique and interesting or just interesting?
It's terribly unique. It's very, very interesting, and it's not 100% baked. So you'll have to bear with me. It's a work in progress, but I thought it's interesting enough to share with you and the audience.
Well, it's a unique way to come up with a unique selling proposition. Would that be a good way to talk about it?
It's a formulaic way to come up with a unique selling proposition.
Let's do it. That's actually something that people give a lot of lip service to, but very few marketers actually have a truly unique selling proposition. And when you do have a unique selling proposition, it seems like everything else seems to fall in line. When you don't have a unique selling proposition, then being in business is truly miserable. So I can't underscore the importance of this enough. And I think that people don't do it because it's kind of sad and scary to realize that you're doing what everybody else is doing and you're trying to be a Me Too person, and there's a bunch of work involved. But I'll let you go. Go ahead.
And before I dive into the slides, it's also not easy, right? It's not easy to come up with a unique idea. You stare at the blank page, you try to figure out what you can do that's unique, and it's not something that people do every day, but as you said, it's very, very important and
essential.
It's essential. So a couple of more reasons why you should become a USP, a unique selling proposition machine. So you said it already, the marketplace is extremely crowded, and nowadays it just doesn't respond to ordinary Me Too ideas for products or services, and you have to work maybe 10 times as hard just to push your more of the same kind of product or service. So coming up with a USP is essential. And many people don't develop this skill to come up with unique ideas because they think it's a one-time deal, right? You come up with a unique idea once, and then that's it. You sell it forever, which unfortunately is not true, because if you run a business in any market, you'll probably need to create a few products and a few services. And if you know how to come up with a unique idea for those products and services, you'll have a much easier go at it. Also, go ahead, sorry.
I just want to say it's a lot of work to do this, but do you know what it's less work than?
What?
It's less work than not doing it.
Right.
Because if you don't have USP, you're going to have to work an awful lot harder to get people's attention and make the sale. Right.
Exactly. And eventually, even unique ideas are copied. It's happening more and more these days, where you have a unique idea, so it's happened to each one of us. Someone took your idea, someone took my idea, they copied it, and you need to come up with a new idea to maintain that edge, to maintain your competitiveness. So it's really a very important skill. Not to mention the fact that unique products and services get free press and social media sharing. And I'll show you a few samples in a minute. So you get free traffic. Not only don't you have to pay for it, but people work for you, they spread your ideas. And if that's not enough, the market has become so competitive that in order to get an opt-in, not even a sale, but an opt-in into your email list, you need to produce a unique ethical bribe, something that's different, something that's so beneficial that people will give you their email address to get. And you often need to produce a few of those because they either run out of juice, someone copies them. So circling back to the beginning, it's a very important skill to know how to create unique selling propositions. Do you want to see a few samples?
Of course I do. Wouldn't it be funny if I said no? Nah, we don't need any samples. We already know this stuff.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So I developed this kind of process I'm using right now because I work with a few customers that need more unique selling proposition ideas, and one of them is our company. We have a specific company that consumes unique selling propositions, but a few of our other clients also want our help to produce ideas. So I developed this system where I collect unique selling propositions, and then I use them as a starting point to brainstorm our unique selling propositions. But let's begin with the idea.
How do you find the examples to collect?
I'll tell you exactly.
Okay.
By the end of the episode today, you'll know everything.
Okay.
So this is a cute product. This bucket, if you drop a tennis ball into it, it makes this wheezing sound, and then it shoots the tennis ball out into the yard. And it's actually giving this dog in the picture a very cool game owl. Like, you put the ball in there, and then the dog runs, fetches it, puts it into the bucket again, and over again. So it's a way to make your dog happy instead of you having to throw the ball yourself and like tire your arm. So that,
it's funny. I've got when we had our house and my dog just died recently, but we had an electronic fence in the house, so the dog could go out, without us worrying about him. We had an electronic door, so he could come in and out of the house without worrying about it. And now if we had one of these, he could play with himself. I think if we just had an electronic feeder, he wouldn't really need us. So
right,
that's pretty cool.
So I purposefully selected this silly product first, just to show you that something unique doesn't have to be extremely useful. Right? It's a unique idea. The natural response to it is cool, right? You think that it's a cool product, but it doesn't have to be a very useful product by itself. It might help you create a very useful product later, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay. I would argue this is kind of useful, though, because anybody that has a dog knows that they're relentless about wanting to play fetch, and it gets a little bit old after a while. So if you could spare me from having to throw the ball 400 times, I would find that to be useful, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay, let's move on, and I'll show you really useful inventions.
Okay.
The second kind of unique product is a toaster that's actually produced right now. It's called Toasteroid, and it's linked up to your phone. You have an app where you can choose the pattern that comes out on the toast when you make it.
That is silly.
That is silly, but again, unique. And I don't know if you've seen those, but occasionally I get to see a picture where you get a pattern on your toast. Maybe it's Yoda or a Pokemon, and it comes up on the internet. And this toast just allows you to be creative with your toast patterns. Again,
the kids love that.
Love it. It's not extremely useful, like it doesn't blow your mind, but what I want you to notice is the reaction you have to these products, where you react by saying to yourself that it's very cool, right? You get a wow response to it.
Like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that.
Right. And I want you to get used to that, to noticing that response, because that's part of the system of becoming a USP machine.
Okay.
Next one is the robotic kitchen. It's a pretty freaky invention where they have two robotic arms, and what they did is they recorded a chef, a first-grade chef, like a 2-star Michelin chef, preparing several dishes, and the arms, they repeat his movements, and they cook gourmet dinners for you.
You're kidding me.
No? A real invention?
Okay.
A real invention. So this is a bit more useful because it cooks dinner. It actually cooks dinner. Okay, now let's talk about something different. This is a process I found in the Cult of Copy Facebook group, which is a group about, if you don't know it already, it's a group about copywriting.
The cult of copy, right?
Cult of Copy. And it's pretty useful. So if you're not a member in it, I really think you should be. And it's a post that Mike Heath wrote about how to get copywriting clients. And what he recommends you do is that you write 2 copywriting articles every week. You put them on a blog. You spend a few bucks promoting them or on Facebook or other content promotion systems. And then you get, once you get clicks to those articles, at the end of each article, there's a call to action that leads to a sales page where he sells a free or a paid or a low price consultation. And then he retargets the clicks to that page over and over again. He says, if you spend $10 a day on promoting the articles, $5 a day on promoting the consultation call with the retargeting, then you'll get leads. And it's a very cool.
And Yoav, just for the benefit of people who might not know what retargeting is, what you're doing in this situation is qualifying the leads by having them show an interest in this article, and then it places a little cookie in their computer, and you can advertise to them again when they're elsewhere and on Facebook or on the internet, and then you drive them back to a sales page saying, hey, why don't you buy this consultation with me? So go ahead now.
So that's a pretty cool way to use content marketing, to combine content marketing and retargeting to drive customers into a consultation call, and it can be used not just for copywriting. I think any consultant can use this technique. So it's a different thing. It's not technology, it's process, but I had the same wow response. Like I learned something new. It's an innovative new process, so I added it to my database of innovations. And then there's the poop emoji churro. There's this restaurant that developed the poop emoji churro, and basically it's a chocolate tasting churro. And
oh my goodness.
But it got like 10 million views on Facebook. So it's silly. It's, as low level as a promotion stunt can be, but it is innovative. So, and it made me go, wow, that's interesting. So I added that to my database.
Okay.
And now for something completely different. So Liftware is a spoon that is built out of an array of sensors and a small engine, and it's used by Parkinson patients. And what it does, it figures out the tremor. Apparently the tremor Parkinson patients have with their hands, it's kind of a systemic tremor, so you can counteract the tremor. And it's a spoon that really allows you to get food to your mouth even though your hand is really, really shaking. So
interesting. Wow.
So it stabilizes the end of the spoon where you pick up the food by counteracting the tremors. And I noticed the reaction I had on many levels. It was on a pure logical level, I really appreciated the solution. And on an emotional level, since my grandmother suffered from Parkinson, I thought how we could ease her embarrassment and make her feel like a human being. So on an emotional level, I reacted to the product. And this is a really interesting product, a high level of innovation and uniqueness. So let's go on to the system.
Okay. So far what you want to do is just notice when you have that wow reaction.
Right. But I want you to begin by following sites that feature innovation frequently. So there's a lot of sites on the internet that just collect those types of innovations and feature them in articles because they produce that wow response. So in order to attract readers, they regularly feature interesting, unique products. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out and find a bunch of those, search for them on Google. You can easily find half a dozen, and then follow them on Facebook.
What would you search for?
Website with unique product ideas, website with interesting products.
Innovative products. Okay,
Innovative
got it.
products, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then follow them on Facebook. So you get those items on your Facebook feed. So that while you're resting from your regular job, you get to see those articles as you're browsing through your Facebook feed. And then use the save feature on Facebook to save each one of those articles. That way you're growing your innovation database, your idea bank. Then what I do occasionally is I stop, I go into the database, and I try to figure out the underlying patterns of innovation. If you've got a bunch of products and you look at them all at once, you start seeing patterns emerging. For example, the spoon, the toaster, and the bucket that throws the tennis ball, they're all technology solutions to household problems. And if you look at the spoon, specifically at the spoon and the toaster, these are household items that when you add technology to them become better.
Interesting. Okay, I can see the pattern.
And then what I do is I write a database of patterns, just a database of patterns. And I'm up to like 15 now in my database of innovation patterns. And
so a pattern would be household item plus new technology.
Right.
That would be an example of a pattern.
Right. And then when I need to come up with an idea for a new product or a new service, I go back to that database, I scan that database, and I try to create a solution based on one of those patterns.
So you're noticing your own psychological reaction to ideas that seem unique, innovative, curiosity-inducing. You are saving those ideas and developing a database of those ideas, but then you're scanning that database of ideas to look for patterns, and every time that you uncover a pattern, you add it to another database. It's kind of like a meta-database of the patterns that seem to underlie the ideas that are getting your attention. And now you can kind of discard the original ideas and look at the patterns when you need a unique idea.
Right. And what I do is when I try to come up with an idea for a new product or a new service is I use the intelligence, the marketing intelligence we already talked about. For instance, if we surveyed the market and we have a sense of the most pressing problems in the market, then I read through the survey responses, I get a sense of the most important, most urgent problems, and then I take a look at the innovation templates and I try to combine those two databases to come up with a product or a service that solves an urgent big problem in the market. That's it.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's a way I use to jumpstart my thinking process on products.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have these types of algorithms available because otherwise, especially when you are faced with coming up with a unique idea for your own business, it's really frightening because the USP is so important, and the more important something is, the less creative we can naturally be about it because we're so frightened about coming up with the wrong idea. So I think having a structure like this and being able to go back to it and reliably repeat it to generate a bunch of ideas, I think that's a brilliant innovation in and of itself. So I'm looking forward to becoming a USP machine myself.
Yeah, before we wrap this up, one more thing. So I developed the habit of ranking my response to each idea, because some of the ideas, like the toaster with the patterns, it's a silly idea. It's just interesting. While the spoon is very engaging. It's a deeply engaging, unique product. And I just rank them from 1 to 5, see how powerful the idea, and then when I come up with idea for our products, for my product, I try to rank that idea on a scale from 1 to 5. So whether it's a Parkinson spoon, then I'm a lot more confident in going forward than if it's a pattern toaster.
Got it. Got it. Do you have any other examples of the patterns of ideas? So one of them is household item, household problem plus technology. Are there any other patterns you might share with us?
So the other one, let's go back to the copywriting clients. This is a mix of two marketing disciplines that creates a process. And you can actually use that kind of innovation, mix and combine two different disciplines to create a process that's very effective. I have a few samples like this, but I would rather keep them a secret right now because we're using them a lot.
Okay, very good. Very good. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at the customer machine.
Thanks for your time and attention. For more information about the products and services we offer to help dramatically grow your business, please visit thecustomermachine.com. On behalf of Glenn and Yoav, thanks for listening.